guys? Welcome back to Marlins 9. It is September 19th, the year of our Lord 2024. The Dodgers hammered the Marlins 20-4. Marlins have 9 games left of the season. And at this point, at 56-97, they're desperately trying to avoid 100 losses. But in tonight's game, with the Dodgers winning by that big a margin, the story of the night was not the score, even though a 20-run game is always something to take note of, or in this case, try to forget about if you're the Marlins. But Shohei Ohtani makes history. Shohei Ohtani is the first player ever in Major League Baseball history to have a 50 home run, 50 steal season. Absolute one of a kind, one of the best players to ever grace the diamond. Just a historic season for what will certainly be his, MVP award moment right there. If any of it was in doubt, it's not in doubt anymore. Shohei Ohtani will be your National League MVP, and deservedly so. 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases. Bonds didn't do it. Griffey didn't do it. Mays didn't do it. Mantle, the list goes on. He is the first in history. Of course, you have the pickoff rule, you have the larger bases, but to be the first player ever in history to accomplish this feat is nothing short of unbelievable, impressive. Just the superlatives reign supreme. However you want to describe it, Shohei Ohtani is just a joy to watch. He's incredible to watch as a baseball player, and the Dodgers will be looking for a World Series ring with him. And I mean, his bat is there as a designated hitter, doesn't play the field, doesn't need to. And who knows, maybe he'll come back and pitch. It's not out of the question that Ohtani comes out of the bullpen in October. But that is the storyline of the night. Shohei Ohtani, 50-50 season. Lot to get into today. Into today on the podcast. 9 games left. 9 games left of the Marlins season. Like I said, trying to avoid 100 losses. 9 games left. It's tough. You got to go 7-2 over the last 9 to avoid 100. 7-2. You have the Braves for 3, the Twins, and the Blue Jays. So couple teams still in playoff contention. Blue Jays, certainly not a terrible team, but if they lose 100, they lose 100 at this point. It's kind of a fun little storyline to talk about, but at the end of the day, it's been a rough season. It's been a rough season for the Fish. Now it is all about player development and looking forward to 2025, for which should be a really exciting spring. A lot of faces that Marlins fans are going to have to become acquainted with very soon. If you don't watch minor league baseball, if you don't pay attention to minor league baseball, I advise that you should. Yes, I understand the Marlins organization. The big league club is what matters. We are all Marlins fans. We want the best for this team, Major League Baseball. And it sucks when the product on the field isn't reflecting a record that we like. But in 2025, guys, I think there's going to be some big things in terms of player development, in terms of improvement. There is a lot of change on the horizon. There already has been a lot of change, and there's bound to be more. How will the free agent market look like? Are there any trades upcoming? Like hot stove season. Their baseball season for the Marlins is going to end. The season will end. But the work behind the scenes, the work the front office is doing to try to improve this club for next year and beyond is only just beginning. October baseball, though, man. Wow. I can't wait. I cannot wait. October baseball is the best. I mean, playoff baseball, which it hurts, not seeing your team at least in the thick of it. You see the wild card races And just pulling up the standings here, I mean, the excitement that these fan bases are having right now. You got the National League, the Braves are fading down the stretch. The Mets made a furious comeback, and they're a game and a half out, or a game and a half ahead of Atlanta for the final wild card. And then in the American League, if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see I've tweeted about them. The Detroit Tigers. The Detroit Tigers have stormed all the way back. Completely unexpected. Completely unexpected. Not one pundit, not one writer, not one expert in the field, and dare I say, not one Tigers fan expected Detroit to be in the postseason this year. And at least in terms of the timing of it at the deadline, if we're talking straight about the deadline, when the deadline rolled around and the Tigers traded Jack Flaherty, they were 7 games back, 7.5 games back, under 500, comfortably under 500, or uncomfortably if you're Detroit. But they are tied for the final wildcard spot. Final wildcard spot, Detroit and Minnesota. It's going to be great. October baseball, we're going to be able to see Bobby Witt Jr. play in his first October. We're going to see the Yankees, who I will be rooting for. We're going to see the Yankees with Jazz Chisholm Jr. getting his first taste of playoff baseball in New York, as he was one of the big trade deadline acquisitions across all of Major League Baseball. The Yankees clinch a playoff spot. They will be in New York in postseason baseball, so it's exciting there. Obviously, the aforementioned Shohei Ohtani chasing that elusive ring, chasing that elusive playoff berth. He never made the playoffs in Anaheim, right across the freeway there. So he's going to be in the postseason. Ohtani in the playoffs. Like, it's great. It's great to see. And obviously, you have, as a Marlins fan, you have kind of a sense of not sadness, but despair. When are we going to be back? You got to wait. We got a lot of waiting to do, but that's okay. That's okay. There are reasons for hope, but there's also reasons for frustration. And before I continue, I don't know exactly why I said that, but Ohtani made the playoffs last year with the Dodgers. I should say he's chasing the ring. He's chasing that World Series ring, something he never had an opportunity for with Anaheim, with the Angels, Los Angeles Angels. So to just clarify that right there. October baseball is awesome. The atmosphere is awesome. The Marlins' goal right now is to be part of that again. We all want to see it. We all want to see it. And there is a process behind it. This is not a short-term fix. The Marlins were devastated by injuries. Absolutely devastated by injuries this season. Trevor Rogers is the only pitcher on the Marlins, for the Marlins, to record 100 innings. He hasn't been with the team for near 2 months. That's crazy. I mean, the rotation was decimated by injury. Sandy, Tommy John, Yori, Tommy John, Ryan Weathers, who just got back, Braxton Garrett, who is in AAA rehabbing. He's missed significant amount of time. So it is going to look different moving into 2025. I do expect to see improvement. However, I don't believe just because the rotation on paper is back, you're going to see these guys each throw 27, 28, dare I say 30 starts a season. No, it's not going to happen. Sandy will be back. But coming off Tommy John surgery, I hope that he will be back as strong as ever, but it's something to keep an eye on. Yori Perez, when does he come back? Is it midway through the year? How do they ease him back into the rotation? Expect a scenario where Yori Perez is eased back into the rotation, and under a heavy innings count, a heavy pitch count. Ryan Weathers, Braxton Garrett, both those guys coming off injury. They're going to have to ramp up to really be at full strength heading into next season to take on a full workload. That's why I say the Marlins need to consider investing in a free agent or two for the rotation to eat up those innings. Offensively, look at the rotation or look at the lineup. Who stands out? Who will be here next year? Connor Norby certainly is one of the bright spots, one of the pieces of the future. Kyle Stowers has had his ups and downs, but I expect him to compete for a starting spot in spring training. Jake Berger is here. There are pieces, but there are also question marks. What do the Marlins do at catcher? Nick Fortes, who has a really fascinating profile, doesn't strike out. He just doesn't. He's in top 10. He's in the top 10 for strikeout rates, lowest strikeout rates among all hitters. He's right up there with Luis Arias, who of course leads the list, and deservedly so. He hates to strike out. But Nick Fortes, with Augustin Ramirez waiting in the wings, where does he sit into the Marlins' plans? Do the Marlins look at Augustin Ramirez and say, he is our catcher of the future? We want him starting at catcher. Or do they want to see him more as a DH first base type, which a lot of scouts project him as? A lot of scouts think Augustin Ramirez should not stick behind the plate. So there are questions there. Otto Lopez, a really, unique skill set of elite defense, elite speed. He can steal bases. The question is the bat. But it's heated up. His bat has really caught on as of late. I expect Otto Lopez to be a piece of this team moving forward. Is that an everyday player? I don't know, because you see, where will he play? Is it shortstop? Is it second base? He spent almost every inning this year playing second. A lot of people think Xavier Edwards should move from shortstop to second. So there's questions there. This offseason, there's going to be a lot of questions surrounding this team, and that's natural when you have a rebuilding club like the Marlins. That's natural. We're going to be here at Marlins 9 talking about all of it. We're going to be talking about all of it. Third base. Is that a Berger Norby situation? Does Norby go to second? Defensively, there are questions. Now in the outfield to me becomes a little bit more clear of who should be here long-term and who should not be. Kyle Stowers will be here next season. He will be in Miami next season. The question is, over 162 games, A, can he produce? And B, will he stay healthy? He hasn't had any health concerns, but will he produce given that he is in the everyday lineup? Because he was acquired from Baltimore with Norby. Norby was the headliner, but he struggled. He's had his ups and downs. I like Kyle Stowers. I think he sticks. I think the exit velocity, the bat speed you see from him is going to be shown, is going to result in a lot more base hits. I think he's really going to work on the contact. I think you're going to see him have a breakout season next year. I really do. A lot of attention has been given to Norby, and rightfully so. But look out for Kyle Stowers. I'm telling you that right now. Look out for Stowers. Jesus Sanchez. Jesus Sanchez has had a very, very quietly productive season for the Marlins. And I say quietly productive because we all kind of know who Jesus Sanchez is. We know his profile. He struggles against lefties. He can hit the ball a mile. The issue's always been consistency at the plate. Well, Jesus Sanchez has had a 17 home run, almost 20 home run season, 14 stolen bases, second on the team in doubles. He's produced. He has produced. I expect him to be a part of this team moving forward. I really do. I think he has earned a shot, and what I would want to see next year is the Marlins to loosen the leash a little bit on him and allow him to try to hit lefties, much like they did with Jazz. I think that was a very smart decision by Skip Schumacher, letting Jazz hit lefties more. I mean, remember, Donnie hated it. Donnie wouldn't let him. So the big step for Jesus Sanchez in his career and his growth as a player is hitting lefties and being more consistent. Other names to take note of, Derek Hill. Derek Hill is somebody that I think the Marlins could value bringing back for his veteran leadership. He's not a terrible player, but the veteran leadership he would bring to an outfield when he's bounced around from team to team. He's had the hype of being a first-round pick. Obviously, it didn't work out the way he envisioned, but coming into Miami for a full season and stabilizing that outfield core. Young guys like Kyle Stowers being able to, look up and see someone that's been in the big leagues for a little bit and be able to mentor them. I think that is an underrated part of Major League Baseball, is the ability to mentor the players around you and to help them develop their skill sets. I mentioned this on the Locked On Marlins podcast, of course, hosted by the great Peter Pratt. Martin Prado was excellent at this. Even until the end of his career, when his bat really started to leave, the power was all gone. Martin Prado was a veteran presence in the clubhouse that brought stability. I think the Marlins need that, whether that's with Derek Hill or somebody else. The Marlins are going to need that next season. They're going to need a veteran. They're going to need somebody who can really mentor the guys coming up, mentor and teach and really help, Augustine Ramirez or Davison De Los Santos when he comes up. Connor Norby, even though he's been up this year, he's still young. Get these guys and advise them in the mental aspect of the game. That's going to be really important. Now, I want to talk about the news of the day. A lot of people kind of brushed this off. I didn't. PJ Morlando, the Marlins' first-round pick. It was reported today from Fish on First Isaac Azut that Morlando injured his back during his first game of the season in a weightlifting competition during a rain delay. Team officials organized a weightlifting competition. And PJ Morlando, the Marlins' first-round pick, injured his back. That was his season-ending injury. That's unbelievable. That is something you read and your mind is just like, what did I just look at? So for baseball players, weightlifting, number one, is not the be-all, end-all. Okay, you don't need to be extremely strong in the weight room to contribute on the baseball diamond. Number two, why are you lifting during a game, during a rain delay? It doesn't make any sense. Number three, team officials organized it. It wasn't the players that organized it. It was the team officials. So this isn't something that, the players got together and they said, hey, we're kind of bored. We're going to head in the locker room in the clubhouse. We got some dumbbells. We got a weight rack. We're going to see who can deadlift the most. No, this is according to Isaac Azu, this was a team official-led weightlifting competition. And no further details have been given out than that. It's his first professional game. What are we doing here? Because the optics of this are terrible. Okay, first, with all due respect to PJ Morlando, there was some controversy behind that selection. There was. There were a lot of other names on the board. The Marlins chose a different route with PJ Morlando. But then, on his first game, you're going to mismanage a situation that poorly? And this isn't even the big league club. We're talking about low A Jupiter. Okay? But when you have an organization, a professional sports organization, top to bottom, it all needs to be run smoothly. Because that is unacceptable. Morlando should have never been near a weight rack during a game. During a game. Much less a weightlifting competition. Well, no wonder he got hurt. I mean, I go to the gym all the time. I've gotten injured lifting weights. It sucks. But to induce a season-ending injury? I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing here? The organization has to be better. That has to be addressed. It's not just kids being kids. No. If what the report said is accurate, then team officials let it. This was a team organized activity. Should have never happened. Should absolutely have never happened. Terrible. Moving on to the next topic before we wrap this up. Edward Cabrera. What to do about Edward Cabrera. Edward Cabrera had a really, really good stretch. Really good stretch of games. Went 10 games straight of really well-pitched baseball. And it got people believing in him. It got people believing in him. I'm going to read you some of his game logs. Okay, just from the month of September, last two starts in September before tonight. 7 innings against the Phillies. No runs, 3 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. September 13th at the Nationals, 6 innings, 1 hit, 2 runs, 0 earned runs, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. In the month of August, in the entire month of August, 6 starts, he had a 3.58 ERA. I mean, he looked good. And tonight, it all came crashing down. 5 walks. 5 walks. 2 1/3 innings, 7 hits. 4 hits, 7 earned runs, but 5 walks. The control rears its ugly head again. What do you do if you're the Marlins about Edward Cabrera? Because you want to believe so bad, but then it comes all crashing down. Do you trade him? Is he a trade candidate in the offseason? A lot of people at the deadline were mentioning Jesus Luzardo before he got hurt. I don't think you should reasonably consider trading Luzardo before he gets back next season and shows he's back completely free from injury and pitching effectively. I don't think you should do that. If you're going to trade Sandy, it should not be in the offseason. I cannot stress this enough. What other trade chips do the Marlins have? Edward Cabrera is someone to keep an eye on. Edward Cabrera is someone to keep an eye on. I don't know if the Marlins are going to try to make him available. I don't know if they're going to keep him in the rotation. I don't know if they want to move him to the bullpen. Would that be a better fit? Do they want to try to convert him into a reliever? He really is one of the most tantalizing and polarizing pitchers that the Marlins have seen in recent memory, because the stuff is so darn good. When the fastball is working, everything else plays. He's got the changeup. He's got the slider. He has the velocity, but it's always been control. It's always come down to control. So that's another storyline. That's going to do it for this episode. Stay safe out there. And as always, let's go fish.